Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I want to talk about comic book companies because apparently these comic book companies just keep putting their foot in their damn mouth, and it's confusing. Like, what the hell is going on? I understand people be like, oh, don't look at the social media and stuff like that, but at some point we gotta start holding these companies accountable for everybody. Anytime somebody that works for them or whatever comes out and say some bullshit, the companies need to get held responsible. I'm getting really annoyed where these companies think they can tell us customers to F off and then get mad that we don't support the stuff and then be looking like, what happened? What happened? Why nobody not watching our show? Why nobody not supporting our stuff? Well, because you have people that work under your company that tells your customers to F off or get upset when their audience is criticizing them. And, this week we have to deal with Neil Gaiman dumbass and we have to deal with heavy metal dumbass. Like, two dummies for the price of one at this point. And I'm not really trying to discredit Neil Gaiman's work or anything, but just because you did an amazing run on Sandman doesn't mean that you're not immune to criticism or anything. It's kind of like, what makes you think you're not allowed to be criticized for your stuff? And the same thing with heavy metal. You ran publication for 40 years for a reason. These stories been around for years. And my thing is, just because you're getting some money from or some capitalist from an outside source, don't mean that you can just throw your entire your fan base under the bus just because you're upset that they have some stuff to say or criticism to say, especially when you have it where you're taking two iconic characters that people know and love and you're changing them to look unrecognizable. It's kind of like, what did you think was going to happen? Especially, it's even harder when it comes from like Neil Gaiman, because if anybody remember, he made this beautiful post about the his friend that Death was based off of, right? And he talked about how wonderful this person was and how this character should be looked at as, and having a beautiful tribute to this character. Just for you to do the live action and you bring in a black woman that looks nowhere close to a pale goth girl. I'm sorry, I don't know what reality you're living in. And on top of that, it's very hypocritical because even then he had did a thing where where he talks about the character. He says about death, where he was asked about the impact of death. It was basically, in death, her image will likely cement that particular version of death, the character, as the most one of the most probably used in the future adaptation in any other media. The fans certainly the goths would be disappointed otherwise, he wrote. Cinnamon was one of the nicest people I've ever known, and everyone took an immediate liking towards her. So he's talking about his friend that he based this character off of, right? So Cinnamon, this beautiful woman that's based off of that he based Death off of, is the character that we see Death as, a pale goth girl, not a dark skinned and black girl that you can just think that you can call her Death. That's not the point of that character. And it kind of sucks though, because you're dealing with a character that is well known. Even casual people of the Sandman universe know of Death. So for him to to go on this route of race swapping the characters or talking about he doesn't give zero fucks about what anybody says or whatever, watch the show. Why would somebody watch the show after you just told them that? Yes, you had a fan that was antagonist or whatever, but you chose to talk to that antagonist fan instead of listening to the real criticism that fans were actually having about the character. You make an assumption just because somebody was talking about the Johanna Constantine and Desire as non-binary or whatever, stuff like that. You made an assumption that other people didn't read the book. No, you're assuming that your audience didn't read your book, the ones that are upset, just because you take one fan who had one ignorant comment and now you're trying to lip it in there and stuff like that. Because basically, here's what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, here's what Neil Gaiman said: I give all the fucks about the work. I spent 30 years successfully battling bad movies of Sandman. I give zero fucks about people who don't understand or haven't read Sandman, whining about non-binary desire or that death isn't white enough. Watch the show and make up your minds. No, what the hell was that? That is not your right to say that. I don't care what nobody said. No, you should have said that words like, I understand, but if you watch the show, you'll understand why desire is non-binary, right? But with death, you have already made a comment about how we shouldn't change these characters because you want to stay as faithful to these characters when they're being adapted. You just said that you dealt with bad movies and bad things about Sandman, but then you go and agree with Netflix and let Netflix completely change most of the characters up just because you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. You set up there because you sold your soul. They gave you some money, and now you have to shut the hell up and deal with what your corporate overlords tell you to do, or you might lose out on the show. But I'd rather you lose out on the show than you giving up your principles for it, because people are fans of these characters or whatever. Like, think about it. Don't you want your books to sell just like Invincible and Walking Dead? You want to know why those American comic books, sold out immediately when the shows were on or whatever? Because they stayed as faithfully as possible to the characters. As faithfully as possible. The main characters wasn't retardedly changed at all. You know what I'm saying? Death is a major character in the Sandman universe. This isn't some just side piece or some side chick character that just appears every once in a blue moon. She's there for everybody to see. So I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to translate that over to your readership. Don't you want people to read your books? Because what if they read your books and then they look at the show and they're like, this show is garbage? Because no offense, it's the same crap with that Mark Millar Jupiter's Legacy, because Jupiter Legacy sucked ass because they changed so much from it, to be honest. Invincible and Walking Dead worked because they didn't change that much. I'm sorry to tell you this. You can get mad all the hell you want to, but facts are facts. But this attitude we're having with the customer base, it needs to stop. It really does need to stop, because you're trying to do a strong arm man argument where you specifically picked out somebody who didn't know the material of it, and then you're trying to say, oh, it's because you don't read my books, so you don't know anything about desire and you don't know anything about death or whatever. But be in mind, death had a showcase that DC showed for us to watch. So it's not like we don't know what Sandman Death looks like. We know what Death looks like. And on top of that, it's even funnier because when people did try to bring some of the characters from Vertigo outside of the Sandman universe and put them into other comic books, as I recall, you got mad at them talking about that, oh no, you can't change persona of death or blase, whatever. Death is the death of the DC universe or whatever. Who the fuck are you to tell other people what their persona of death in the world of DC is or isn't or whatever and stuff like that? So it's kind of like, oh, it's okay when you do it, when you approve it, but when somebody else does it and it's not approved by you, it's a problem. No, you can't have your cake and eat it both ways. Either you have to be okay with the changes all the time, because see, what you don't realize is now that you agreed to Netflix changing the characters like that, guess what's going to happen in the comic books? They're going to bring the Sandman characters in the fold. Yes, they are going to bring those characters, and they're going to change them to accommodate the changes that you made for Netflix. And then you're going to get on Twitter and you're going to complain and you're going to be like, I can't believe they did something like this. Well, why not? You told Netflix it was okay. DC doesn't have to ask you. You don't own the rights to the characters. You don't. So, I mean, technically DC can change those characters. Since you want to be smart at the damn mouth and shit, guess what? They're going to take your shit and they're going to change it up. And then what? You're going to get upset and you're going to go on a tirade like half the writers when they agree to dumb stuff outside of the comic books, and then when it happens in the comic books, then they want to complain about it. Make that make sense. Then you got heavy metal over here getting mad that most of the fans of Talia are upset that you put her in Scantly Clan. You put her in full body armor instead of keeping her as her sexy bikini wearing self. And you want to be like, well, we don't need people like you, and you can F off and stuff like that. And we've grown up. You need to grow up. You mean the people that's been holding the goddamn magazine for 40 years? Or the fact that you have issues giving sending the books over to people or whatever. Oh, sure, that makes sense, what little money you have. Or did we not forget about the whole nonsense with Vertigo imprint? But of course I should have known, because y'all had people like Kelly Sue DeConnie. If you don't like my politics, don't read my book. Magic. Basically, Neil, you're saying if you don't like my politics, don't watch my show. Magic. Okay, cool. And when people don't watch it, Magic, and it gets canceled after one season, what the hell are you gonna say then, Neil? Whose fault is that? It ain't gonna be the fans' fault. You literally told them to F off. It's the same thing with heavy metal. You literally told your fans to F off because for 40 years they've seen this character be a certain kind of way, and for a long time the heavy metal, you're supposed to be an edgy magazine or whatever, where it's semi-erotic, to be honest, where the men and women are sexy as hell and they barely wear any clothes and they're ripping monsters' heads off with their bare hands and sometimes with swords. So, I mean, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But to tell the fans that they are wrong for not agreeing with the new changes, which, by the way, from what I was hearing, was in the storyline, it was completely a waste of time. So you only did that to virtue signals of people who don't read these books. So you're doing all of these changes for people who don't read the book, and then you're going to push away the fan base that you have. I don't understand what's wrong with this entertainment industry today, especially the Western one, where they think they can push away their damn fans and tell them to F off, and then be shocked when they're not getting money. It doesn't work like that. You cannot tell your fan base to F off. It doesn't matter how many defenders you got going on. I don't care about the Twitter pyramid. I don't care about people who make up fake stan accounts or whatever and stuff like that. They don't make up majority of your fan base. I'm trying to tell you that. Your fan base been holding this industries down for years, and all of a sudden you want to change everything up and then tell them to F off when they have criticism against the changes that you're making. If the changes is stupid, it's stupid. It's dumb. The Sandman characters shouldn't even be black. There was no black. Well, it was a black character, but it was only because one of the damn entities in Sandman turned into a black person for the black woman. But other than that, like, you know exactly what I mean. Like, I'm sorry, they're deities of paleness and stuff like that, and they're mostly white characters that are pale. Like, I mean, Caucasian, however you want to goddamn call them, but they're white or whatever. And then they're in London at the time. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. 3% black. You can get mad all the hell you want to, but it's the truth. So, if anything, why are we pretending like this is something brand new? These characters clearly are mostly in the world of UK. And like it or not, it's not that many damn black people there. And that's understandable. I'm not going to sit up here and get upset at that. I need people to understand, not everything needs diversity, not everything needs the LGBT community, and not everything needs to be for everyone. But you need to make sure you're respecting your original fan base. That is why these properties are failing. You keep rebooting these franchises and disregarding your fans that you gained all the time. You cannot take a property that has years of fans and try to be like, oh, it's for a new generation. Dummies, you can't get the new generations if you disrespect the old generation, because the old generation is the ones that's been keeping this stuff going on for a long time. You disrespect the old generation's out, then you have the new generations that think that they're better than the old generation and stuff like that. And those are the ones that don't even buy anything or support anything. All they do is make Stan accounts, Tumblr accounts, and maybe make weird fan fiction art. And that's about it. But other than that, they don't buy anything when it comes down to it. They don't. It's mostly just stands and stuff like that. While the people that really were buying your stuff, you push them away to the point where they're done. They're done. Do you not understand how stupid that is? You cannot keep telling people that their opinions about the stuff that they've been holding on to for years is wrong. I'm sorry. At this point, Neil, heavy metal, you guys are in the wrong. You guys are in the wrong. Your job is to entertain. Your job is to your customers and your fans first and foremost. Do not make changes that upsets most of your fan base, because most of your fan base is the ones that will buy and support. If you don't have that, what do you have? Yes, you have normies, but all they do is just watch the stuff maybe. 9 times out of 10, they don't go and really support it when it comes to it. They're not going to. They might watch it one time and that's it. And then what will happen if it, let's say Sandman season 1 doesn't do well, right? Let's say because of what you said that people bow out, right? Because you already turned people off with the whole non-binary bullshit pronoun game in the first place. You could have, the desire thing could have been addressed in the show. You didn't have to put that bull crap when you're announcing the casting. You get what I'm saying? You're already turning your fans off by taking a political stand and wondering why people aren't watching or tuning into these shows, or why nobody doesn't want to support your stuff. You cannot keep doing this. And I don't understand why these companies are having these people, allowing them to keep doing it, and then get mind baffled about, wait, why did Vertigo fail? Why did the reboot of She-Ra fail? Why did Sandman fail? Why does Charlie's Angels fail? Like, you guys keep trying to figure out the magic number, and it's just like, you have people that work for you that tell your fans to F off, fuck them, all that bull crap. They're making changes that nobody asked for. You're putting in diversity that didn't need to be in there, especially when it's not even organic. And then you're slapping people over the face with politics. I'm not saying politics don't exist, but you can't keep slapping it over your damn audience face. And then on top of that, you're not making these shows for fans. You're making these shows for people who don't even care about these characters to begin with. So my thing is, why don't you just do something new with them? Do something new. Don't even touch IP. No, you touch IP because you want fans to come in there. But then you want fans, but then you don't want to take the heat that you're getting from those fans. Then don't adapt the product. If you're not willing to stand in the fire and take the criticism of it, don't stand in the fire. You don't take Superman and then change half his characters up and then guess what? Think that you weren't going to get criticism and then try to hide behind, oh, it's for kids. Kids my ass. I'm just being honest. Stop trying to hide behind stuff. No, you stepped in that fire. Deal with the fire. You set yourself ablaze. You're going to stand in that fire, stand in that truth, but you cannot keep trying to blame your fan base for the reason why you're getting all of this backlash, or the reason why your products aren't doing successful, because that's a you problem. That's not a fan problem anymore. And you guys got to stop. Please, for the love of God, stop, because I'm telling you, you are pushing your audience away further and further and further. Again, this is why your audience do go over to other countries for other entertainment. Bollywood, Chinese cinema, Japan, anime and manga stuff, Korean dramas are more interesting now than the bullcrap we get in Western culture, because you guys keep screwing crap up. I mean, you do. You do. You keep screwing crap up, and then you're wondering where your audience is going to. They're giving their money to other countries because you guys seem to can't respect your American audience anymore. You're doing everything to push them away. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below about the whole comic book companies hating their fans, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.